Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Cap and No Cap. I am your host, Kevin C. Meggett. As you can see, I'm standing alone today. We're going to chop up some good game and, we're going to talk to the family. How's everyone doing? How was your week? I had a lot of things going on last week. I hosted a veteran workshop fair in the Bronx, and it was not just a workshop fair, but it was a resource fair. And we held a press conference. So, I thought it went extremely, extremely well. We're putting these veteran issues on the table because veterans has ultimately made a huge sacrifice and deserve a lot in this country. And they don't get the resources that they deserve. Like I've always said, the only people that deserve more than a veteran would be foundational Black Americans, because they actually built the country from scratch and got nothing for it, got no pay. So we wouldn't enjoy this beautiful country, this rich capitalistic country, if it wasn't for my ancestors, foundational Black Americans. But I digress. Let's talk about what's going on in the feds. Federal inflation is still at an all-time high. And I can't help to think that it has a lot to do with our United States commitment to what's going on over there in Russia, and in the Ukraine. Let's realistically think about this, okay? How long has America been in Afghanistan? And so even if this is a long, drawn-out war, right? Conflict war, I'm not sure what they, what Russia has declared. But if this lingers for years, perhaps decades, right? How long is America going to continue funding this? At what point do we say enough is enough? I mean, we're actually neglecting our own issues by policing other people's issues that really don't have anything to do with us. So I want everyone to think long and hard about that. We're policing the world, and the world don't want us to police it, but we're policing the world, and it's costly. It's costing us every single day. You're finding it's costing us at the pump. You're finding it's costing us at in the supermarkets. You're finding that it's costing us with housing, in resources, jobs, so forth and so on. And there's got to be an end game to this. And I think the worst part is that the Republicans and the Democrats refuse to sit down and talk. So you have Democrats who are far off to the left. You have Republicans that's far off to the right, but they're two different. You got the left wing, you got the right wing, and it's all connected to the same bird. And they need to come in the center and try to figure some of these things out, like what's cost effective, because we have pumped millions. We've pumped billions and billions of dollars into the situation in Ukraine, and there is no clear answer. There's no transparency from the federal government or the president. They're saying, yes, this is good. And the American people are like, no, it isn't. It's costing, we're paying this price. We're leaving our children a huge, huge debt. And, I'm not a big fan of Trump, but I'm really not a big fan of Jim Crow Joe Biden either. And so at the end of the day, he needs some transparency with the American people. When it comes down to it, he just says we got to take care of our friends and our allies. What we're looking at essentially is the making of a third world war. Tongue tied, I apologize. But that's what we're looking at, a third world war. And primarily because we can't be everywhere. We just can't. So now you have China that's pressing Taiwan. And make no mistake, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when China decides to go into Taiwan. You don't have a NATO that's going to fight on behalf of that invasion. And the people in that region, let's see who, Australia, India, Pakistan, they don't want no smoke with China. They don't want to fight with China. So America's going to fight that war solely alone. And if we don't take care of our issues here at home, we're going to go from first world to third world. And I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at certain little things. I think I pay too much attention and it drives me crazy. There's other states now that have water issues, that have a crisis with their water. And that's because it was never rectified when it happened in Flint, Michigan. So look for more water to be contaminated because there's no accountability. There's no one being accountable or responsible for the failures that are going on in this country. But we love to point our finger and say to the American people, we're going to hold you accountable and responsible for whatever is going on here in the country. But I digress. Midterm elections, even though that's more on a state level, it does affect the balance of the federal government. I think you have a couple of federal seats that are being ran for, and the way they have it, it's almost like a dead heat. Half of it going to the Republicans, half of it going to the Democrats. Let's see who controls the House. It's that type of game. And the sad part is I would love to see people step across the Democratic and the Republican line and say, look, we got to talk and get something done. We're shorting the American people. We're shorting the American people by far. And there's no real accountability or leadership. I don't think Trump was a great leader, but nor do I think Joe Biden is a great leader. And so we need to start looking for leadership for this 2024 presidency. I hear through the grapevine, I don't know how true it is, that the governor of California is considering a presidential run. And that might be something very interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because in California, they're actually really looking at this reparations issue very close and very hard. And it's being done on a state level. So this governor is actually doing it. And so shout out to him. And if he was to run, if he was running and he had that type of agenda, I would probably jump out the window and with support for him. But as it is here, the governor's race here in New York, I can't make a heads or tails. It's very interesting. These Democrats are running, pointing the fingers at Republican and saying abortion. This person is against abortion, and they supported Trump and saying that the election was a fraud. Get over it. It's over. Abortion was broken down and put down on the state level. Trump is out of office. And so, get past that. Like, what's your agenda? What's your plan? What is your position on issues as we're moving forward as a country, or how to better move us forward as a country? I could care less. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell a woman what to do with her body. It's not my place. So don't get mad at me for not supporting it, because it's not my place. So it's really not my issue. It's not that I don't have empathy towards it, but I have more empathy towards the skyrocket pricing of inflation, people being pushed on the train tracks, people being killed at an alarming rate. And those are the kind of issues right now that Republicans are pointing at with the Democrats. They're saying, no, well, the governor's soft on crime. They're letting all of these people out of jail. Like, and truth be told, this whole defund the police has created a message that is just not conducive to American society. We don't have law and order. We shouldn't live in a lawless society, and we seem to be living that way. We are letting people out of jail for little things. This cash revoke, this cashless bond, it should have some type of stipulations. It's just like everyone got a free get out of jail card, and this is the wild, wild west, and we're living very lawless. It's just interesting how we could point fingers at other countries and ours just isn't everything that it needs to be. So one of the things I really want to talk about, being a United States combat veteran, is housing. And, this is probably one of the biggest things that the federal government needs to really get their hands into. Rent needs to be regulated. It's way too high. I forgot the gentleman that you had a gentleman that ran for governor. No one really took him serious, but his message was very serious. And I think he said that the rent was too damn high. Forgot the brother's name. But he was on point. I think he saw gentrification coming way before it ever got here. And we can't address the housing issue until we address gentrification. And gentrification, in my humblest opinion, as I repeatedly stated, is ethnic cleansing American style. And so the only difference between Nazi Germany and gentrifying people here is the method is different. But it's very harsh, it's very brutal. It leads to mental health. It leads to crime. It leads to a lot of things. And we're building a whole bunch of these luxury apartments, and they're not they claim they're affordable housing, but the word affordable itself favors the rich. So no one's looking for a handout, but we also act like poverty has been totally eradicated in America. What they're going to do, or what they're doing, is how they're eradicating poverty is that they're pushing people, they're cropping them out of a picture that they rightfully belong in. And look for maybe 20, 30 years, they're not even being a certain class of people in New York City. I believe in 20, 30 years, New York City will only reflect wealthy people that can live here. This will be this is where the wealthy will come to live, or come to know to live. And that's not right, family, because I'm for fixing up an area. I'm for fixing up a neighborhood, but you can't do it at other people's expense. You can't do it at an expense of displacing other people. And that's kind of what we're doing. And the federal government needs to come up with housing regulations. Low-income housing is what is needed. New York City also should invest in veteran housing, as should the state. I would love to see New York City veteran housing, or New York State veteran housing, because a lot of these veterans have federal housing vouchers. They can pay the rent. So you're pushing. New York City says all the time, hey, we want to make New York City more city friendly. And in order to make New York City friendly, I apologize, veteran friendly. New York City wants to make New York City veteran friendly. In order to do that, they have to do something very specific for veterans. And what does that look like? That would look like New York City veteran housing. That would look like city jobs geared straight for veterans. That would look like a reduction or a half-price Metro card. These are specific things that would make New York City more friendly to veterans. I would love to see, they have money to put all of these ads in on Times Square. How about an ad that says, hey, New York City loves our vets? How about that? So with that, I digress. We're going to take a real quick commercial break, and then I'm going to break down what I feel about what's going on in the state. But we'll do that as soon as I come back. Cap and no cap. Kevin C. Meggett. We'll be right back.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
We're back, cap or no cap. Had to take, got to take them quick commercial breaks. Got to pay the bills, real quick recap. The federal government is ultimately responsible for veterans and veteran services and for families of veterans. And they need to step up. But being that the state and the city, and I'm sure that the state and the city gets a certain amount of money from the feds, they need to do the right thing too. And the right thing is start appointing veterans on these panels for discussions, not people that are far removed, not people that went to West Point and then they went on to become a commissioned officer and come from a privileged background. That doesn't help anyone, family. Get the ones that were enlisted, that have served as an enlisted member of the armed forces, because those are the ones that are ultimately affected in New York City and the state, respectfully. On the state level, the governor's race, it's getting tight. I really believe that it's going to be a very, very tight race. Governor Hochul has not really said anything to me that made me want to run out and support and vote for her. Specifically, nothing towards veterans, nothing that what she has planned for veterans or how she may want to do anything for veterans. We are a group of people, and I am actually asking all veterans, start running to your exception. We love to run away from it, but run to your exception. We're exceptional people. Run to it. In most cases, all of us have took that oath to defend the Constitution of the United States from enemies both foreign and abroad. Both home and abroad. And so with that said, we never really are going to ever really be relieved of that duty. But they are, and when I say they, I'm talking about the federal government, they are actually responsible for keeping us in a safe place. You trained us. You trained us how to fight. You trained us how to kill. You trained us how to do a lot of things. And once we come out, we're thrown away. So America loves to talk about our adversaries, China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, right? But the reality is I don't think none of those countries have a homeless veteran crisis the way we have one. So we look very hypocritical. And I'm asking that Congress looks at us and pay more attention. I'm going to help you. So I'm going to always be on your bumper. I'm going to continue to fight for veteran services that they rightfully deserve. We rightfully deserve certain things, but bigger than that, we've earned the right to take care of ourselves. So we need to have a conversation. There needs to be a conversation. We need to be brought to the table, and there's a discussion that needs to be have. And so with that said, I'm probably going to go and I'm voting for the other guy. What's his name? Lee. I forgot his last name. The Republican governor. So I'm just one person. I don't vote on party lines. I don't make an apology for. I don't care. People are like, oh my God, do you know what he did? I don't care. What I tell you what he did do. He did say he was going to commit himself to veteran services. So he's going to get my vote. And maybe, if the Democrats lose everything, maybe that'll be a wake-up call, because they've taken the black vote for granted for decades. And black folk has just been given their undying, unwavering, blind support to a party that just doesn't pay them any attention. The only thing that you're gonna get from the Democratic Party is benign neglect. They're gonna act like black people don't have any issues, and they reduce those issues down to minority, women, and children. So with that, I'm probably gonna vote for the Republican governor hopeful. One of the things I would love to also the state to actually do, and maybe I'll start pressuring some of my state assemblymen, is, family, have you seen the food prices? Now I know that we're having like inflation is going through the roof. I get it, right? But I can't stop but wonder and think that they're gouging food prices. And it's so weird because even chicken wings, chicken backs, I see, chicken feet, like these are not popular parts of the animal, are astronomically high. And I'm like, wow, like a steaks of $4.99 a pound. How did we get there? Is there a shortage of cows? One thing I always notice that stays pretty reasonable in price is pork. You can still get a panini for 99 cents a pound, but I don't indulge in swine. So, it's just civilized food is just expensive. Beef is expensive. Chicken is expensive. Turkey is expensive. I used to be able to buy smoked turkey for a pack for like, I don't know, $2.89, $3. The price has doubled. It's almost $7. And you can't help but to think that prices are being gouged. And if we're in this big crisis, and that's what we are, coming out of COVID has put us into a crisis. And if we're into this big crisis, you're going to have to regulate something. You're going to have to regulate housing. And this could be done on a state level too. You're going to have to regulate food prices. You're going to have to regulate something. It just can't be a free-for-all, capitalism wins, and the guy that doesn't have any money loses. That's not right. It's not right. Prior to the pandemic, we were begging, America was begging other countries to feed them with the GMO food. They don't beg them anymore, but they're feeding it to us. Food pantries is booming right now. I got up in the middle of the night and, this might have been about, I think it was Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday. I had something to do down in Brooklyn. And I left out the house about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I seen a whole bunch of people lined up at 5 o'clock in the morning for food pantry. Shopping carts. The line was going, it was a church. The line was going right around the corner. This is third world country type of tactics, I mean, those migrants that walked into America, I'm ready to walk over there and see if it might be a better living, truth be told. I mean, I don't know what's going on. And speaking of which, they actually get prioritized over a vet who has fought or someone who's been here all their lives. And that's not right. We're choking on our own political correctness or incorrectness. And it's leading up to, you can't look at crime and not look at the economy. You can't look at crime and not look at inflation. You can't look at crime and not look at the housing crisis. It all ties into one another. And there's nothing there. I mean, they're going to make it where, okay, we need to get rid of guns. That's what the governor's saying. And that's never going to really happen because of the Constitution. And no one's going to let no one rewrite the Constitution. That's just what it is. What you should do is tax the bullets. You should make bullets very expensive. You should make bullets $50 a bullet. For one bullet, it costs $50. And I promise you crime will go down. Either that or people will be they'll actually won't miss who they trying to kill. But I digress. What else is going on on a state level? I don't know too much about what's going on. I want to talk about that Kanye West thing too, man. That's crazy. He's done. I feel bad for the guy because I know he doesn't have, he does need medication. People are like, oh, he's not crazy. Yeah, he is. I mean, but did he say some things that made sense? Absolutely. There's things that I could definitely get in front or behind of what he said. The problem with Kanye West with me is that he contradicts himself. So he'll say something real deep and then he'll go put on a White Lives Matter t-shirt and go around and hang out with Candace Owens and the alt-right. And they're hurting him now. I mean, everyone's just severing ties from him. And I really believe that they're going to isolate this brother. And this is where we really need to step in. I think because if they don't, we've seen the playbook. We've seen how this runs. We've seen the playbook in the past. They're going to isolate him. They're going to make him spend all of his money. And when he's at his lowest, they're going to kill him. And we shouldn't allow that. All right. But someone needs to really pull this brother aside. Thing is, he doesn't really have anyone, to talk to him. I think the realest person who gives it to him straight would be Dame Dash. So, I don't know if Dame Dash is watching this broadcast, but if he is, please reach out to this brother because he is talented, but he's lacking guidance, and I'm not for other cultures chastising him the way that they're chastising him, but it's kind of therapeutic because it lets everyone know that who has money, that your billions don't equate to their billions in the system of white supremacy. You see what they did with Cosby. They made that man spend his money. They still put him in jail. And the dangerous part about that was just saying, your black billions don't equate to our white billions. And so when we talk about there's an equality in America, miss me with all of that, because there is no real equality in this country. And so, but what we need to do is start taking sides. And, the issue is very black and white. It's but we try to divide the pie and say, well, I'm not black, I'm brown. I'm not black, I'm people of color. I'm not black, I'm LGBTQ. So if either you're black or you're white. So when I use the word black, I refer to black. It could be brown. It could be once you distinguish yourself away from me, you've distinguished yourself away from me forever. But for the most part, I see all melanated people as being black until they differentiate away from me, and then you're that. So if you say, well, I'm not black, I'm brown, you be brown forever, and I equate your brownness to whiteness. If I'm not really black, I'm people of color, you be people of color forever. You know what I mean? But I equate it to white. If you're, I'm not black, I'm LGBTQ, you be that forever, but I'm gonna equate it to white. You know what I mean? So it's either black and the laws of this land has been written in black and white, as well as chess has been played in black and white. I've never seen a chess game played in people of color. I've never seen a chess game played in brown. I've never seen a chess game played in LGBTQ. So what we have to do is kind of fasten our seatbelts and say, hey, either you riding over here with us or you stay over there with them. It's a us and them thing. And then we could perhaps achieve some type of equality. But, I digress. Let's talk about what's going on in the city. City of New York. Wow. Whew. I'm tired of turning on the news and watching people being thrown on the tracks. And the mayor of New York City has caught up to the old mayor, de Blasio, in less than a year as the worst mayor ever. They're almost running a neck and neck race because you have a lot of mental health issues. What happened was once the country was locked down, the subways was a shelter. So once the country semi-opened up, because we're not even fully open, a lot of people don't know that. We're not 100% open. But once it semi-opened up, you had a bunch of shelter people with mental health issues on these subways. And they are a plant in the subway system. So what are we going to do about this, Mr. Mayor? I mean, we can't, every day I go to work, I see something strange where you can see mental health all over the place. And the issue is, you talk about defund the police, you need to increase the police force. But now these are people with mental health issues. How do we combat that? Like the whole world, but particularly the whole city of New York, in my opinion, is mentally ill. So there's not an asylum you could put all of these people in. How do we combat that? Do we push them off of out the subway and say, hey, y'all can't be here? Do we force them into some type of treatment? There's got to be a contingent plan in place. And like City of New York is, you have a city council. These guys don't know what the hell they're doing either. They're quick to they're walking around chasing their tails because they're very inexperienced. The people in city council right now are inexperienced because they're young. We have teen titans in city council. There's no direction. This country is going to hell in a handbasket and no one cares. On a federal level, on a state level, or on a city level. And someone's got to, you petitioned for the job, sir. You're not doing your job at all. Veteran services in New York City are the worst. It's horrible. The representation you have needs better representation. It's not diverse. The people on your board do not reflect the people that are in the street, that are actually in the trenches of homelessness, that are not in the trenches of gainful employment, that are not in the trenches of feeling any empathy from the city of New York. But they love to talk about, oh, we've combated homelessness over 90%. That's a lot of cap. They're capping. Because if you put a person in a homeless shelter, if you put them in shelter, They're considered housed. Where's the raw data? Where's the data that supports all of this great work that you're doing, sir? But you know what? I'd love to have a conversation with you. Hopefully in the coming weeks to come, you'll see how serious I am. I remember when you were sworn in, I stood out in the blistering cold with a bunch of veterans, and we asked you, we said, what are your intentions as it pertains to veteran and veteran services? And you said we were going to basically give you everything that you need. We have not seen that. We haven't seen it, and it's a lot of cap. We need for you to say something with teeth, we need something tangible in terms of resources. We can't have just fast talking. It doesn't do anything for us. But I digress. I'm going to take a real quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Cap or no cap.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Had to take that real quick commercial break. Cap or no cap. I was talking about the city before we went to a quick commercial break. The reality is there's a lot of things that are going on, family, and we have no clue what's going on. For instance, I don't know how many of you know, and you could Google this if you don't believe me. There is a police station in New York City, in Times Square, that belongs to China. There is a Chinese police station in America that comes from China. And you have to ask yourself, well, what do they have a Chinese police station in America? Do we have one in China? Do America have a police station in China? You know, just a couple of weeks ago, off the coast of Alaska, you had two battleships were spotted right off the coast of Alaska by the Coast Guard. One was a Russian battleship and the other one was a Chinese battleship. So at the end of the day, we're sitting here and we're fighting about abortions and people and inflation and people getting thrown off, and we're getting ripe for the picking of being invaded by an outside force. And what I always say, and by the way, if you don't, anything that I'm telling you could be referenced. You could easily just Google what I'm telling you, and you will find it. So what I'm saying is national security is very, very important. And what I would like to do is start paying more attention to national security, because none of us really know our national security policy. I don't know what our policy is on national security. I don't even know our foreign policy. What is our foreign policy? What is our national security policy? These are things that I want to kind of familiarize myself with, because this is a big world, and I want to know where I fit in this world's picture. But I thought that was very interesting that America has a Chinese police station. And, you know, let's be clear, I'm not trying to replace white supremacy with yellow supremacy. I'd rather much dance with the devil that I know. Um, but what we're doing is we're actually not paying attention. We're looking at a lot of smoke and mirrors. And usually when you see a mirror that's smoking, that's because something else is going on. Now, I hear that the oil is getting ready to go back up because Saudi Arabia decided that they were going to raise the price of oil and kind of working more with Russia. And basically, the Saudis, we deem them to be our allies, but, they're working with the Russians. And this should send a clear picture. 20 years ago, America had a lot more clout than what she has today. And she's lost a lot of that clout. And it's because you can't push an agenda for every other country. Democracy doesn't work in every country. It happens to work in this one because capitalism works in this one. But you can't ask a communist country to be for democracy. It does not work for everyone. And so what we have to do is kind of restore our integrity. Right now, we don't have no integrity amongst the world. And it's very sad. And that's because I think a lot of these positions, these government positions, I'd like to see more veterans run for them. I mean, the next president should have a military background, should have been a general or something like that. The world right now, the world is in a crisis. And we need a forward thinker type of person. Joe Biden is too old. He's very forgetful. We have a president that has Alzheimer's or dementia. I haven't seen that since I have not seen that since Ronald Reagan. So we need a president with real leadership. We need a president that served the country. We need Congress people that have served. We need veterans in Congress. We need veterans in the state assembly. We need veterans in city council. Because veterans know how to get things done. Veterans it's just an extension of their public service. I hear a lot of public servants say, I've always wanted to be a public servant. And that's a lot of cap too, because if they always wanted to be a public servant, they would have put on a military uniform, and that would have been their first service to the public. So what they do like is the amount of money and the illusion of power that these positions hold. But now, what's the sense of having the illusion of power when we're being threatened on all sides of the spectrum? We're getting pressed in. So where's this illusion of power coming from now? And I'm talking now, basically to anyone on a federal level, on a state level, and a city level. We have to find balance. And the balance, I think, really lies in us the people. We have to be educated as voters. How many times we got to stop little things that we do as well, like voting impulsively. We're voting based off of popular culture. I'm going to vote for this person because he's the first this. I'm going to vote for this lady because she's the first that. I'm going to vote because this is the first LGBTQ person. But where's the qualifications? We're voting based off of our feelings as opposed to based off of experience. So if you're looking at bad government, guess who you could blame? We could blame ourselves because we elected those people and put them in the position to be bad elected officials. So in the end, if you had this real big problem with Donald Trump, people voted to put him in there. Enough did. If you have this big problem with Joe Biden, you put him there. I always said, believe it or not, when they said, "Oh well, what's the two of the less evils?" I'm being honest with you. I thought Trump was the lesser of the two evils because Trump has never made a law that specifically hurt foundational Black Americans, whereas Joe Biden did. He authored that 3 strikes you out law and stuff like that. So he wrote laws that actually hurt foundational Black Americans. Just because he said he's sorry, do it make it better? No. You know what I mean? What Trump did was he took racism and white supremacy and he spread it around to other groups. So the Latino community got it, the Asian community got it, all these other groups got it, whereas foundational Black Americans have been carrying it for centuries by ourselves. We've been carrying the water pail by ourselves as it pertains to white supremacy racism. And so I don't know. I really don't know if that's what his intentions were as far as the lesser of the two evils. The lesser of the two evils, in my humblest opinion, really was Donald Trump. But he didn't win. But we still suffer racism under Joe Biden. Racism's still thriving under Joe Biden. So I don't know. Anyway, that's my time. I'll be back next week. This is your boy, Kevin C. Meggett. Cap and no cap. I really miss Janaea Butler. I really miss Mr. King because I can have engaged conversations, whereas I'm doing more commentary. So hopefully one or both of them could come back. We could chop it up and I'll bring in a special guest. But don't forget, Millennium 24, I'd like to thank you. I always tell you this. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd probably be stuck in a padded room somewhere. We are on Millennium 24. Y'all could download us right now on most of your devices. We're in Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon. What else? Apple, Android, your Android devices. Download it and advertise with us, please. We could use the advertising. If you have products or services that need global exposure, we are seen throughout the whole entire planet. So until next week, this is your boy Kevin C. Meggett, cap or no cap. Have a good week.